How do you play C? So this is a simple C chord. What you do is you put your ring finger on the fifth string, the third fret of the fifth string, and you put your middle finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and then you put your index finger on the first fret of the second string. And then you strum the 5 notes from C on up, and that gives you the C chord. So what we've got is we've got C, E, G, C, E, so, or 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. So all the notes of the chord and then the 1 and 3 are duplicated. It's interesting to note that the sixth string, which is open here, the open E on the sixth string, is actually part of the chord. So you could strum all 6 strings if you wanted to, and you would still have a C chord. That's called an inversion, though, because you got an E in the bass instead of the C, and that's the first inversion. Also, if you take that sixth string and lift it up to the third fret, that gives you a G, which is also in the chord. So you can play another inversion of the C chord by putting your put your ring finger on the third fret of the sixth string and put your pinky on the third fret of the fifth string, and that gives you the second inversion of the C chord. So, and then just strumming the top 5 strings gives you the normal position or the root position of the C chord. So you can play around with that. Sometimes those are interesting sounds to use. Sometimes you're doing some sort of pattern on the bass notes, a counter melody or something, and you want to hit those strings instead of the C in the bass. One way to play an alternating bass with the C chord is to use your ring finger going back and forth between the third fret of the fifth string and the third fret of the sixth string, like this. And it's interesting that you also have the option of playing the open E string as well, but it just doesn't sound as good. For example, just sounds off to me. So normally you play, when you do an alternating bass, normally you play the fifth of the chord as the alternating bass rather than playing the third of the chord, which is the E. The fifth of the chord is the G. So you can also have your fingers, put all 4 fingers down, put your ring finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret, and put your pinky finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and just go back and forth with the pick between the 5th string and the 6th string. That's another way to play the alternating bass. But it's convenient to have your pinky free, so that's why a lot of times they use the mobile ring finger to play the alternating bass instead. When you play a C chord like this, you have 2/3 that show up in that chord. We've got 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And when you want to play a suspended second or a suspended fourth, you've got to deal with both of those strings. So on the first string, you can lift it up to a fifth by just placing your pinky on the 3rd fret. That raises the E to a G, and that's the 5th of the chord. So this is another way of playing the C. It's 1, 3, 5, 1, 5. So 1 and 5 are repeated, and the 3 only shows up once. And now we have the 3 on the 4th string. We can just lift up our middle finger, and that drops it down from a 3rd to a 2nd. So that gives you the suspended second back to a C. And then to lift it up 1 fret to get the suspended 4th, you have to use your ring finger on the 4th string, 3rd fret, and then move your middle finger over to the 5th string, 3rd fret. And that gives you the suspended 4th. So you've got suspended 4th, C, suspended 2nd, and back to C. You can play a C7 chord by using the 3rd string. Put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and that gives you a C7 chord. You can also get a C6 chord by dropping that 3rd string down 1 fret. But to do that, you have to rearrange your fingers a little bit. You take your ring finger, move it over to the second fret of the third string, and then put your pinky on the third fret of the fifth string, and that gives you the C6. And then to go to a C major seventh, you start with a C chord and then just lift up your index finger, and this gives you a C major seventh. And then back to C. So we can go C6, C7, C major 7, and then C. Playing the C minor chord on the guitar is actually a little bit tricky. Maybe the simplest way to do it is to take the A minor shape and play that with a bar chord with a bar at the third fret. And that's a C minor. If you want to play a C minor on the open strings, you have the problem of how do you deal with the two thirds that are in this normal setup for the C chord. You can get rid of one of them by putting your pinky down and lifting the E up to a G, so you've got turned that third into a fifth. But this other third here on the fourth string, you need to slide that down one fret, and it's just very difficult to do. But there is a trick that I've learned, and what you can do is you can mute the fourth string and get the third of the chord here on the second string. So the way you do this is you put your ring finger on the third fret of the first string, you put your pinky on the fourth fret of the second string, and then you put your middle finger on the third fret of the fifth string, and then you lean it so that it mutes the fourth string. So now you're only sounding the fifth string plus the third, second, and first strings. So if you're finger picking, you can just do a finger picking pattern that only hits 5, 3, 2, and 1. And if you're strumming, just leaning your middle finger into the fourth string mutes it enough that you have a decent sounding C minor chord. And once you've got that, you can also do a C minor seventh. You put your middle finger on the third string, third fret, and you use your index finger, bring that over to the third string, the third fret of the fifth string, and you get the C minor 7. And again, with your index finger, you lean it into the fourth string so that you're still muting it. And then lastly, we can get to a C6 by putting your index finger on the second fret of the third string, and then put your middle finger back to the third fret of the fifth string, again leaning it in to mute the fourth string. And that gives you the C minor 6. So one last chord I wanted to show you while we're down here on the open strings, and that's the C add 9. So note that it's different than the C9 chord. The C9 chord would have a seventh in it, whereas the C add 9 is just taking an ordinary C chord and adding a ninth to it. So what we're doing is we're taking the second string and raising it up one whole step, or 2 frets, and that'll be the ninth of the C chord, and you'll have the bass of the C chord here. So those are the notes we're going for, but you have to reorganize your fingers a little bit to get there. So you take your pinky, put it on the third fret of the first string, take your ring finger, put it on the third fret of the second string, take your index finger, put it on the second fret of the fourth string, and then put your middle finger on the third fret of the fifth string. And that's your C add 9. It's used in a lot of chord sequences because you have these two top strings ringing out pretty nicely, and it goes to other chords that have that same feature. For example, the G chord can be played like this with these two notes here, and there's even the D suspended fourth. So that was a D suspended fourth to a C add 9 to a G. Lastly, I wanted to talk about where you can find the C chord up the fretboard. So if you start here in the open position, you know that we've got the third of the chord on the first string. If we raise that up 3 frets, we get the fifth of the chord. And once you have the fifth of the chord located, if you make a bar there in the shape, a bar chord there in the shape of an A, that will give you the C chord again. And of course you can do A minor, the A minor shape to get the C minor, and the A7 shape to get the C7, etc. Now if you step up from here, you go up 3 frets, that'll be the 7th of the chord, and then up a whole step, 2 more frets, that gives you the octave. So this is the note C again, an octave from where we started. And if you make a bar chord there in the shape of an E, that'll also be a C chord. And then from here you can go up 2 whole steps, and we're back to the original C shape. If you play a C shape up here on the 12th fret, that will also be a C chord. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's any C chords that you like to play, or any chord progressions you like with C in it in the comments, and I will see you around. Bye.